Back in high school, the blind girl was known among all of our classmates. Not only was she kind, she was known as the school sweetheart. One girl, we'll call her Susie, kept getting annoyed with the blind girl in the hallway. She always claimed that blind girl would block her way and that she liked being blind because then people would give her attention. She even had the audacity to call her ugly and claimed that she doesn't even know what ugly means. One day, while climbing up the stairs to class, the blind girl was following behind Susie. While following Susie, the blind girl bumped into her with her stick. Susie turned around and was filled with rage when she realized who had pushed her. According to Susie, she thought that someone was trying to touch her ass, and so she felt very threatened. She proceeded to turn around and push the blind girl down the stairs with as much force as she could muster. I'm not talking about a small set of stairs, but at least 20 or 25 concrete steps. Eyewitness reports claimed that the poor blind girl fell for a good 20 seconds before finally falling face first on the floor. Susie realized who she had pushed and simply walked away. The school never got Susie in any trouble, and the blind girl never held it against her. Personally, I don't think it's ever appropriate to push someone down the stairs, but maybe Susie felt threatened. What do you think? Should Susie feel guilty, or was it a childish mistake?
I once took a friend through the drive-thru at a fast food place downtown. His phone was at 3% and his screen was dark, so the scanner couldn't scan his barcode to redeem points with the restaurant's app. He had a hissy fit from my passenger seat holding up a line of customers behind us. To make it worse, he was yelling racial insults towards the workers who took his order and was swearing at them. I drove him home, and right after, drove back to the restaurant to apologize for taking him there. Last time I drive him anywhere, in fact I'm going to ignore him now, he really crossed a line.
Letting him go. I dated S, 28M, about 2 years ago. I met him during COVID when I was 22 years old. We were together for 3 years. In the 3 years we have been together, we have only been with each other physically for only 1 month. I traveled too much and he needed to stay put. When we were away from each other, we'd argue over little things. Things that didn't matter. But when we were together physically, it was wonderful. As if time stood still and nothing else mattered. However, because my parents wouldn't approve of us being together, I treated him as a secret. I regret so much the way I treated him. He deserved so much more than what I could offer him. I hate that I had to realize nearly 2 years later what I had. I want to be with him desperately. To hold him and love him the way he deserves to be loved.
I survived getting attacked by a dolphin when I was 12. I was staying with my aunt in Florida, and we were having a beach day. I was 12 and I don't swim well, so I was only daring to go about waist deep in the ocean. This proved to be a bad idea. So a juvenile dolphin spotted me, and I guess he was lonely. I don't know, all I knew was 1 second I was smiling at the little fish darting around my legs, the next second something slammed into me. The force was strong enough to bruise my ribs. At the time I honestly thought they were broken. Pain is pretty much indescribable unless you've experienced it. I was slammed onto the ocean floor, my mouth filling with seawater as I fought to surface, but this thing has me preventing me from escaping with his weight. Then he started humping me. I'm literally getting bounced onto the ground and dragged back up in the air. I didn't have time to think. I was alternating between gasping and choking on air and salt water when I vaguely heard my aunt screaming. Then my cousin was at my side. He took a swing at the thing on top of me, and as he was grabbing my arms to get me to my feet, I finally registered I was getting assaulted by a freaking dolphin. He was pretty pissed and bit into my cousin's arm, causing him to cry out in pain, and hit the dolphin again to make him let go. He then basically carried me to shore as I was puking up seawater. They called an ambulance and I had to get X-rays. I was gonna live, obviously, but the next couple of weeks sucked. On top of having bruised ribs, I had matching bruises on my back and pretty good bump on the head. Also, my aunt freaked out and made me drink a lot of water and take medication when she found out I drank a ton of seawater so I wouldn't get sick. My cousin had to get like 15 to 18 stitches in his arm because that dolphin tore into him pretty good.
What was the scariest, we need to leave, now, gut feeling that you've ever experienced? Surfing a fairly secluded reef break, offshore across a channel. This place is in a very southern state of Australia. Overcast weather, but a still, amazing day for the waves. I was surfing with only one other guy. We were trading waves and getting to know each other in between sets. I asked what he did for a living and he was a marine biologist. We'd both recently moved to the area and were new to surfing it as well. Despite it being extremely good surf, after 40 minutes he says, "I don't like this, something feels off, I feel like I'm being watched, like I'm bait." I didn't want to leave as it was excellent surf, but this guy was a marine biologist, so I took his instinct as a sign to play it safe. We paddled back across the deep channel together as quickly as we could without panicking and walked the 15 minutes trek back to the car park talking shit the whole way. I got his mobile number for future surfs together given how small town it is here and not knowing anyone. We noticed a 15-feet inflatable boat pull up near the reef and hang around for a bit without much thought. Later that night while looking at my social media, I read about 3 fishermen at the same location we were at that morning, at the same time, in their boat. As they pulled up to check their cray pots on the beach side of the reef, they were circled twice by a great white shark that was as big as their boat. That guy most likely saved me from a horrible experience that day. I messaged him with the link to the Facebook page with the comments regarding their experience. Chills ran through my body for a good 20 minutes. He was adamant he felt the presence of something and he was right.
What's a creepy story you have from your childhood? When I was 9 or 10, I was walking home from a friend's house one day, maybe 3 blocks from my own home, when a car stopped and 2 men inside tried to get me to get into the car with them. My grandmother had told me that if anything like this ever happened, to run as fast as I could and start screaming for help while looking for adults. So I did, and one of the men followed me on foot. I saw a house that had 5 to 6 people on the back porch, so I ran up to them in a panic and told them men were trying to kidnap me. It turns out, they were smoking a joint and I scared them shitless, as my mom later told me, by bursting into their backyard screaming. When they realized what was happening they asked me what the men and car looked like, and 2 of the dudes ran off looking for them. They were unable to catch them, but saw the car as it sped away. They called the police and my mom came and got me.
Tell me your true scary stories. I've had many experiences, but I'll tell you one that freaked me out because I wasn't the only witness. I was about 12 years old and I was talking with my dad in his room. My mom was in the closet with the lights off, but we could clearly see her folding clothes. Well, during me and my dad's conversation he had asked my mom something but to no reply. He eventually got to the point where he started to yell. I got up and stepped into the closet, but then I heard my mom walk into the room and ask why he was yelling her name. I looked at her and she had a towel wrapped around her. I quickly looked back into the closet and saw nothing. Absolutely nothing. This obviously creeped me and my dad out. Whatever we saw, it wasn't my mom. Whatever it was, it had her shape and even the bun. My mom always had her hair in a bun. I would have completely thought this was my imagination if it weren't for my dad also being there and seeing it too.
Tell me your true sad stories. I've had many difficult experiences, but one that really broke my heart showed how unfair life can be. I lived in a cozy apartment with my dog, Charlie, a fluffy terrier mix. He was a nice enough pet, though I was often too busy to spend much time with him. One day, our new landlord, we'll call him Mr. Thompson, posted a notice, "No pets allowed," effective immediately. It was inconvenient, but I figured I could manage. I tried talking to Mr. Thompson, but he was firm. I searched for a new place, but everything was too expensive. I found an elderly couple who could take care of Charlie temporarily. Handing him over was sad, but I thought it was for the best. The apartment felt quieter, but I got used to it. Months passed, and I focused on my work. Then, one evening, the couple called. They couldn't keep Charlie anymore. I hadn't planned for this. Panicking, I reached out to friends, and finally, a colleague offered to take him temporarily. Eventually, I found a pet-friendly apartment. Moving was a hassle, but bringing Charlie back was a relief. The new place wasn't great, but we managed. It was a tough experience, a reminder of how unexpected life's challenges can be.